I had to stop giving a about people. That was the biggest thing. I had to stop caring what people thought about me. I realized that everybody's up. That's the one thing I realized. I walked around and I put these people on a pedestal. Everybody was better than me. So I can't tell you anything about me because you're gonna judge me and I'm gonna feel even worse than what I am. What I realized, once I calmed my mind down and sat back and looked at how jacked up this world is, once you realize that you are not alone, everybody that's talking to you about how jacked up you are, only thing they've done better than you is they've hidden their up world better than you have. That's all they've done. So once I realized that, if you want to sit back, like for instance, there's all these things that are on TV and we have all these news people judging people who up in life. And yeah, they made big mistakes. But that person who is judging you on TV, I guarantee you that news person is saying, I'm glad that my didn't come out, but I'm gonna judge the hell out of you. I know that about people. So if you wanna sit back and judge how jacked up I was and how messed up my life was, Merry Christmas, go for it, have a good time. But I'm smiling at you right now, knowing you have a secret that you're not willing to share. It gives you a lot of power when you're able to go on a podcast this big and say, hey, tell me, I'll tell you anything you wanna know, 'cause I no longer care. And that is a lot of power in that, to be able to put your life on a billboard for the whole world to see and say, judge it, man. When you are willing to talk about how jacked up you are, the strength, that big rock that you carry, it just starts to come off you. It just starts to come off. That's why I do it so often. I'm like, hey man, I'll tell you anything you want to know.
How do I, stand out?
Be you, bro. Be you.
See, I'm crazy. I be thinking, yep. I was crazy enough to believe what the I was saying gonna happen was gonna happen. And that's why I was persistent enough and consistent enough to exist now. When I'm coming up, it's like, yo, who with him? Like, who he with? Me, by myself. Now I do what the I want to do.
Used to think I was put on earth to be a wrestler. That was it. I was put on earth to be a WWE superstar. And then I started doing a little bit of acting and I'm like, oh no, it's easy. I'm a storyteller. No, I'm a human being, breathing air like everybody else. And I'm significantly insignificant. I'm a grain of sand on a beach in a pale blue dot out in the middle of nowhere. I just want to be useful. Life to me is a gift. And dude, I have, in my tenure, I understand I have been given lottery ticket after lottery ticket after lottery ticket. I am lucky. I understand my luck and I try to live each day grateful for the luck. So when the sun goes down, I look at what I did for the day, even if it's relax. Did I earn the sunset? Some days I don't, and I motivate myself to try to do it again, but most days I do. And that's my sense of purpose. So now I have what makes me happy. And I can chase those things. And that's what makes the ride super fun, man.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get off the pity potty. Stop looking for the new pity committees, running around, telling everybody your sad and sob stories, trying to get people to show up to your pity potty parties and your pity parades.
I mean, we live in a society where a lot of people are followers and they can't, make their set opinions. Like I have friends going to college for stuff that their parents want them to go for and they're not even happy or anything, but they're just trying to please them. And in the long run, what's gonna be there? Your parents die and you're just stuck there paying debt for something that you didn't even want to learn in the first place. So I just try to tell people to just think for themselves and they'll be way happier in the long run.
If you can be authentically yourself with another person, then you're gonna feel their love. That's what I mean about the devil. It's the idea that if I just show my partner the best parts of myself and I don't admit to them or share with them the things I'm afraid of, the shit I need to work on, all that kind of stuff, then I'm never gonna feel their love because they don't love me. They love the character I'm playing. They love the persona that I've developed in this relationship, and I'll never feel their love, Whereas if I'm brave enough to share with this person the parts of me that I don't understand, I'm afraid of, I'm unhappy with, I'm ashamed of, and they love me anyway, then I'm gonna really feel that love, and that love can be a transformative kind of love. That's a love worth having,
The biggest advice is shut off your phones, shut off all technology, find a dark, quiet place for you to think. You have to think first. And then when you think, you have to think, okay, what's my purpose in life? But you have to quiet the noise. The world's moving too fast right now. You have to stop it and say, what am I all about and where am I going? But it takes being raw and real with yourself. What the do you want to be? What do you want to do? How does that look like? You gotta have in order. plans, goals, destinies, journeys. Go home and shut your phone off, shut the TVs off, shut the world off, and tune into you. I have a job like you, Goggins. I work out all day. I got a job. I work 16-hour days in the fire line. When I'm demoting, that means coming off the fire line, I work 20-hour days.
You are a true individual, right? And that spark, that individuality is, I would compare to like a seed, right? It's been planted in you. And your destiny, your fate in life is to know what that seed is, to know who you are, what makes you different from everybody else, and to cultivate it.
There's the you that you want people to think you are, and there's the you who you are, and trying to figure out, like, how do I figure out who I am? Like, do I have a correct assumption of how the people are perceiving me and how I actually am objectively, or am I bullshit world with this suit and pocket square?
Yeah, I would say it's exactly the scenario that we're talking about. There's essentially only two worlds. There's the inner world of energy and there's the outer world of energy. There's two identities. One's real, one's false. The external world is I'm asking you to tell me who I am. That's what we're all playing at. And as soon as you start playing that game, we run into all sorts of trouble. Call it the ego, call it whatever you want to call it. But that's the dynamic that we're in. And somehow we have to give ourselves enough confidence to reassure ourselves that we are enough.
There's musical intelligence, pattern intelligence, mathematical intelligence. There's social intelligence. There's kinetic intelligence, which has to do with the body and movement. There are 5 of them. I don't remember all of them. You have one of them. There's one of them that's stronger than the others, right? It's where your brain naturally gravitates towards. And if you don't have the right fit, if you're launch your career, you go into law because you think it's going to be making a lot of money, but in fact, your brain and your that seed was made for something else, you're going to end up hitting a wall at some point. You're going to be burning yourself out, and your life will take bad turns, and things will, you will never reach the goals that you want. And as you get older, you accumulate the voices of your parents, your teachers, your peers, the culture at large, and it drowns it out. You can't hear yourself anymore. You can't hear that impulse voice of what makes you an individual, of what makes you different, of what you love. So you have to understand that you're cutting through this vast cloud of smoke, this screen that has been put in front of you that is preventing you from understanding yourself. So you have to look inward, and yet it takes time. It is a process like everything else.
So the world will try and tell you who you are, and you have to tell yourself who you are. And there's this ongoing battle. And somehow there needs to be a reconciliation between the two. But in the end, you've got to have all the eggs in your basket. There needs to be some period in your day where you remember that there's a world out there trying to tell you who you are, and there's a world in here that's trying to tell you who you are. Now, where do you want to put your eggs? Because the world outside is very noisy and very tempting, and it has all the razzmatazz, has all the tinsel and all the glitter. It's got all the toys. But that's because you don't think you're enough in the first place. If you don't think you're enough in the first place, the whole idea of the world to sell you stuff is, first of all, they have to make you feel bad about yourself, less than in some way.
You want to make yourself feel better because you want to think that your life is so much harder than somebody else's. It's not.
Playing out the fear, Layla says this, and I love it, but that fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And so it looks like this ocean that you're going to step into and drown. But as soon as you step into it, you realize it was not that deep at all, and you can keep walking through it. And I just love that visual, because a lot of times when it's like we have this anxiety around this big decision we have to make, if you actually take the step and realize that it's not death, you're not going to drown immediately. There's plenty of other steps you can take from there, even if you get a little wet.
Living life of quiet desperation. I mean, that just terrifies me.
Well, that's Thoreau's quote, that most men live lives of quiet desperation. It's one of my favorite quotes ever, because it's true. And I've been that guy.
Oh my God.
You're just in this world where you just can't wait to just run away.
The point is that there's some games you don't get to play unless you're all in. And the other thing that's so interesting about being alive is that you're all in. No matter what you do, you're all in. This is going to kill you. So I think you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting. Because do you have anything better to do? Really? Why not pick the best thing possible that you could do?
No one's going to come to help me. No one's going to come to help me. It's me against me, period. And so I had to man up. And I said, the first thing I got to start doing is facing every fear I have. I was like, man, what story would it be if my fat, dumb lying to be friends with people, insecure ass, can overcome this. And that what if mentality, like that dreamer mentality just would always fuel me. And then the bike got easier. I was able to run more. I went from like 1 mile. 1 mile was a great accomplishment. 2 miles, and then from 2 to 3 was a big one. Then I went from 3 to 6. And then like they have a warning order that they give people to get ready for buds. And the whole thing was running 6 miles 5 days a week. And that was my goal. And so I just kept, I failed, I go back to scratch. I used some positive motivation. I had like one day where I'm like defeated, but I started realizing this is part of the process. This is part of the journey. I had to realize this is part of my process versus just saying, like I used to, I'm just not good enough. If I'm not good enough, we always say that, I'm just not good enough, and then we try something else. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And that became my mentality. I'm gonna make myself good enough. And so I'm misunderstood a lot, but that's all it came down to. I made myself good enough. And the days I couldn't run that far, the next week, I would do 2-a-days. So like on the running, if I ran a quarter of a mile, I wait a couple hours, it'd haunt me, bother me. I try to run a half mile the next time. Same day. You can do more than this.
Is there any better feeling than being locked in?
No.
Like when you are locked in and you are, you know, you're taking, and you're in a rhythm, and every day you're knocking it down, you never miss a step. Like you go to bed feeling great, you wake up feeling inspired, you go in the gym with energy, right? Like that's the best way to live.
Now I can say like, okay, these are the things that make me happy. So I should start chasing those things.
What would your life look like if you had the ability to adhere to every single plan, every single dream, every single goal that you have set forth for yourself from the time that you were 10 years old to however you are now? What would your life look like? It would look completely different. So fix that problem of adherence and everything takes care of itself. Because now you can say, I want to be this. I want to build an amazing company. You could become that. I want to build an amazing relationship. You could do that. There's literally nothing you can't do if you can develop a plan and then adhere to it.
Your brain is set up to produce positive emotion. Literally, this is what the positive emotion system does. It computes decrease between you and a goal. So if you have a goal and you see that you've done something that moves you towards it, your brain produces a dopamine hit, and that makes you feel good, and it strengthens the neural circuits that moved you forward. It does both of those. That's reward and reinforcement. And what that means is, if you don't have a goal, you have no positive emotion. And when people say, you know, they're aimless, they're partly telling you that they're anxious, but they're also telling you that they have no positive emotion. So then you say, well, what sort of goal should you have? Because that's the next question, right? And the answer to that is, well, ask yourself,